Mr. Speaker, I want to thank, first of all, the gentleman from New York. I want to thank Mr. Elliott Engel. He is the ranking member of this committee, but he has also been the leader in authorizing this critical legislation, but also has been such a prophetic voice on this subject of Syria policy from the beginning, from that first day when we saw people out on CNN, out on the streets in Damascus saying peaceful, peaceful, only to see the automatic weapons of the regime open up on those citizens. From that day forward, he has tried to focus us on this issue, and I wish this body and I wish the White House had done more to heed his calls. For what we have now is a grim lesson in human suffering. The Syrian regime has launched wave after wave after wave of unrelenting destruction. And I'm talking about the airstrikes, the chemical weapons, the starvation, the industrial-scale torture, and the deliberate targeting, as we've seen time and time again, of hospitals and of schools and of marketplaces with precision bombs, and then with crude barrel bombs, and then with the chemical weapons. These are the hallmarks of life for millions of people in Syria. And the number of dead from this alone exceeds 450,000. And another 14 million souls have been driven from their homes. You know, ISIS plays a role also for the people of Syria in the role of violence that they face there. And so it is that they face this twin challenge, but it's Bashar al-Assad and his backers that have this instrument of death from the air, this capacity. It is Russia, it is Iran and Hezbollah who now are the primary drivers of the death and the destruction. It is the Russian and Syrian fighter planes, helicopters that drop these bombs on these hospitals and schools. And it is Hezbollah and it is the IRGC fighters from Iran and the commanders who besiege cities, who burn the crops and prevent food and water and medical supplies from reaching cities. It is Assad's secret police and intelligence group, the intelligence apparatus of maybe 14 different agencies, who kidnap and then torture and then get new names from those they've killed and then go out to repeat that process and murder civilians from every ethnic group and every political party, whether Sunni or Shia or Christian or Alawite. None are safe. We've gone through in the committee some of the there was tens of thousands of photographs, but I think we've identified 11,000 souls, people in these photographs that were individually killed, tortured and killed in the prisons, Assad's prisons. And there is this bizarre, I've never understood it, this bizarre focus on recording every death. That's why we know the numbers. Recording the death and putting a number on that body and cataloging this. For some reason, totalitarian regimes have done this, you know, from the Soviet era to the Nazis to Pol Pot. And for whatever reason, this practice continues. The Foreign Affairs Committee heard the agonizing testimony from Syrians caught in this horror, including the brave Syrian defector known to the world now as Caesar, and for whom this bill is named, who testified to us of the shocking scale of torture being carried out within the prisons of Syria. It was his job for the regime to document this with his camera. Throughout all of the suffering, the administration has failed to use the tools at its disposal. Time after time, when given the opportunity to take steps to stop this suffering, the administration has decided not to decide. And that itself, unfortunately, has set a course where here we sit. And we watch, and the violence only worsens. Mr. Speaker, America has been sitting back and watching these atrocities for far too long. Vital U.S. national security interests are at stake, and from increased humanitarian aid to serious increased assistance to the moderate opposition, to safe zones, to the application of U.S. economic power, there are options available. These options are available to us. This particular legislation is designed to increase the cost to Assad and to his outside backers by targeting the sectors of the economy that allow Assad to murder with impunity. And under the bill, foreign companies and banks will have to choose between doing business with that regime that is carrying out these kinds of practices or with the United States. For there to be peace in Syria, the parties must come together. And as long as Assad and his backers can slaughter the people of Syria with no consequence, there is no hope for peace. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill is long overdue. I urge all members to support the legislation as we seek to ease the suffering of the Syrian people, and I reserve the